Okay. Well, yeah. Um, I was in the professional coaching field. I built my wealth from, a few $1,000s to millions of dollars in crypto. And so what we're doing now is I've been launching projects, but I don't want to launch project anymore. So we launched a launch pad kind of like PinkCell. So think of PinkCell kind of like McDonald's. They're like the most dominant launch pad out there, but they don't have competition. And so this is where we come in. We're kind of like the Burger King of Launchpad, you could say. And so my view on it is that, the reason they don't have much competition is because it's a closed contract. It's not an open source, so nobody can copy them. And so that makes it very hard for people to do what they're doing. But we have a very talented programmer, one of the best in the world. And, he says, I can do it. So he did it, everything that PinkCell does. But we're doing something unique and special, which is the reason PinkCell does well is because everybody wants to be the top 12 trending. And the reason they want that is because they want investors to join their project. But we're doing something that is next level. And what it is that we're creating a technology that will drive traffic to our website, huge amount of traffic. Now, it's a little bit of a secret how we're going to do that. So we're not revealing that tonight, but I will show you the Launchpad has already been built. That was the most easy part. But of course, a Launchpad without traffic is not very valuable. So that's why you need both. You need to have the Launchpad, and you also need massive amount of traffic. So as you can see, we have already built the launch pad here. Or can you see my screen? Oh, hold on.
I was just loading there.
You are sharing screen. There we go. So this is the launch pad that we built. But this is just the phase one. And right now we are, of course, doing our pre-sale. And so that's what we're doing now. And people can join in onto the pre-sale. And the first 500 people who will stake their tokens, they can become a partner and get a profit of this business. Because, yeah, anyway, let me just share that first, and then we could go from there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that, Michael, and that introduction. I guess my first question would be, obviously, I'm very well versed with kind of the launchpad space and what it takes to be successful as a launchpad. I've worked with Gempad closely. I've worked with PinkCell closely, and obviously I've been in the space myself for quite some time to kind of learn how they operate and how the funds work in terms of which ways the money flow. But I guess my main question would be in terms of volume. Obviously, investors and projects want to launch where the volume's at. What's kind of the plan to get people to launch on your platform and to really contest with PinkCell? It's going to come down to projects of high quality wanting to launch on your platform, investors wanting to buy projects of high quality. So what's going to be the process of finding projects? Are they going to be vetted by you guys? Are you going to have that open kind of policy like PinkCell, like anyone can launch with you? Like, what's really the main way you guys are going to drive quality projects to launch with you guys?
Well, I think the first step is that projects want to launch with us instead of PinkCell. And the only reason people would do that is they can get more customers with TrustLaunch. And now you might be wondering as you're watching this, well, how could they get more customers with TrustLaunch? And as I told you, we are building a technology that will drive millions of qualified leads, traffic to TrustLaunch. And I told you that's the secret part I can't share tonight because it's such a good idea that when you see it, you will see why this is a very good platform to launch on. So first of all, that's the want part. So of course, if you launch your product on a platform and your project sells very fast, and you didn't need to do a lot of marketing, maybe you still do some, but you didn't need to do a whole lot because maybe 50% of your customers came from the platform, 50% from somewhere else. That is already adding tremendous value to the developer. Okay. Now the other part of the value is that, well, okay, how does the investor benefit from using TrustLaunch? And this is where we're a little bit different. So if you go to our Launchpad, we have a few different things. For example, even if you go there, you can see that, yeah, we have all the badges, the same thing as PinkCell. That's okay too. But what we have, if you scroll below, is that people can rate the project if they hold the TrustLaunch token, which is our community, which we've been building for a while through our pay-to-trade investor program. We have a community there. And then the other thing they can get is something PinkCell doesn't do is you can get like bonus as the PinkCell fills up. So this is something PinkCell doesn't really offer. They just offer, you buy based on the listing rate and the pre-sale rate. But you get more, the more people buy, as it says here, TrustLaunch token, the bigger the BNB pool, the more TLT bonus everyone receives. Yeah. So this is a little bit of a different point. But, of course, we want people to look at the stars, same as Amazon. You wouldn't buy a book on there or a product on there if you didn't think it was a good product. So our more experienced investor who hold the tokens will be able to rate the projects, right? And be able to make sure that it's good. Now, if people have the resources, they could do a premium launch, and then we will evaluate their project. And you can see if you go to our website, we have a premium launch there. And that's one way we can vet the projects. If they do it by themselves, yeah, they can just launch it and people will evaluate their project and give it stars and like ratings and things like that, right? So, yeah. Because as we know, right, in the crypto community, how do you overcome the rug pulls, right? So this is the big problem. And so we are building something different, and in the sense that it's kind of like the Amazon of launching. Amazon became very popular because of their stars, right? Like each product has stars. So also the developer, they can't do 5 different KYCs. They do it once and that's it. And that will show up on every project they launch with us. So, a lot of people, they launch projects on PinkCell and you can't see what was their past project. From all we know, they could have launched 30 different projects. So this is not good. You should be able to see people's history when they launch projects. Yeah.
Absolutely, Michael. Thanks for that. I do agree. I think having a history and the transparency of the dev, knowing what they've previously launched, seeing kind of their performance, maybe even being able to see a chart for all the previous projects. Because if you see 5 charts and they've all launched and it's been down only, you're probably going to want to avoid this pre-sale before you before you contribute. So I do like that a lot, actually. I think that's a great feature, having access to the history. I want to talk about the badges really quickly. I know you said that they have access to the badges, the KYC, audit, etc., SAFU badges, whatever you want to call it. Is that kind of done internally, or did you partner with like a third-party platform that's going to help with the KYCs, or where does the badges, where's the actual data being held for to ensure the security of the investors?
Yeah, no, they're done through third-party. Both the KYC and the audit is done by other people. So now we did build. I don't know why I can't share my screen here. Hold on. We did build. Can you see my screen or no?
Yep.
You can. Okay. I don't know why it's not showing up here. But we did build a KYC platform, and a little bit different than PinkCells, that once you connect to our platform, you just pay, and it's a one-time fee. As I said, you don't have to pay if you launch another project. But it's the same process, but it's a third party that does the KYC, and we just use the API to connect to their third party service. Yeah. And of course the audit is done by other people who, and then once you get the audit, it's approved on the project, and then just the same way, right? If you click the audit, it will open it whoever did it, then you can see what the audit is. Yeah. So, and of course, there's new one like trusted means, as you can see here, the liquidity was locked for 10 years. So that's, a lot of project right now launching on PinkCell. The problem that I see with that is they only lock the liquidity for 1 year. So that means what? They don't plan to succeed more than 1 year, right? I'm just asking. I'm not judging, but something to think about, right? So then, of course, if you do that, you get a trusted badge, right? And the other one is stars or bonus, but the other ones are pretty much the same as PinkCell. So if you don't have a trusted badge, it means that you didn't lock the liquidity more than 10 years.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, I definitely, I'd say even 1 year is, it's funny because most of the launches on PinkCell, I think, are 30 days. So 1 year would be considered a long time in the space. But in terms of the locking, are you guys did you build the lockers internally, or where's are you using a third party for locking the liquidity as well?
No,
yeah, go ahead.
They are built internally, so but it's open source, so people can see so you can also lock, right, if you go to our platform. So all the locks, that is an open source contract, so people can see what it looks like. And then just like PinkCell, they will be audited and all that, so that people can have the trust that they need to be able to feel secured in that process. Yes? Yeah.
Got it. And in terms of the projects launching with you, will there be any vetting on your end, or it's going to be more so just letting the community, letting the audience decide if this is something they want to, participate in? Or will you guys be saying, hey, this isn't up to the quality of our platform, sorry, like the name doesn't work, or this utility or this meme coin, it's not something we want to support? Like, will you guys be handpicking the projects, or will it be more open for anyone to launch?
That's why it's called TrustLaunch, right? We don't want to let's just say there's a lot of pump and dump out there. Now, okay, so I get it. Some people like that. There's a lot of degens investor who like a good pump and dump, right? I get that. So we're not going to limit all pumps and dumps, but people need to call it for what it is. Like if they don't lock the liquidity for more than a year, it's a pump and dump. Let's be honest, right? So that's one thing. Now, there's a bad pump and dump, right? Like they don't lock the liquidity. Well, then we have to ask why, right? So it's optional to lock the liquidity. Now, one reason is they could list the tokens on 2 launch pads. They could have it on TrustLaunch and PinkCell, and we allow that. In fact, people can bring their PinkCell directly on ours. As you can see, when I go to the PinkCell promo link here, you can connect your wallet and import it, and then you'll be able to have access to the marketing that we have on TrustLaunch. So we don't say you have to do TrustLaunch, but you can work with TrustLaunch while you do PinkCell. But one thing, as I told you, as TrustLaunch gets more and more traffic, then of course we only want the best projects, and we can be more picky, right? Who we're going to accept to be trending, let's say, as the top 12. So for that, we have the vetting tools through the token itself. So while we don't necessarily reject projects, we can give them very low star rating. So that would be how we vet the projects. So because as our team and the people who invest in the tokens will hold a lot of TrustLaunch token, it requires TrustLaunch token to vote. Yeah. So if we don't like a project, we can vote it and give it less star, but we need a good reason to do that, right? It wouldn't happen just because it's a good pump and dump. It has to be a bad pump and dump, right? So that's how I look at it. So we're not against a good pump and dump. I think people love that. right? So, yeah.
Totally. And what's going to be kind of the I actually have two kind of very granular questions. We'll start with the more simple one first, but what's going to be kind of the process when someone does rug or there is kind of some malicious intent with a project on your platform? Will they be permanently banned? Will their KYC be released? Like, what's going to be kind of the precautions that the team takes to ensure that it doesn't
Yeah.
happen again?
Well, we have to understand the difference between like the different kind of dumps. So if it's a price dump, meaning that they didn't have unlocked tokens that they sold immediately on launch, or they didn't pull out the liquidity. So those are different types of dumps. Those are very bad dumps. Those are scams, right? Like when scammer comes on and they try to rug pull intentionally. So that's very different. In that case, we would reveal their KYC and they would be liable to the investors, who can contact the police, who can do all kinds of things, right? Now, if it's a price dump and people accuse them of a rug pull, then we would follow up on the project and look into it, right? Is it just a price dump? If it's a price dump and people who sold the tokens actually paid for them, it's not the same thing, right? That's a completely different story. But as you know, from my experience, when people invest into token and price dumps, they always blame the developer, and that's normal. But that doesn't mean the developer did anything wrong per se, right? Maybe they didn't do all the right things, that's true, but that doesn't mean they did anything wrong or illegal, right? So those are two different stories. That's how I look at it.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. And my second question was, in terms of the liquidity to market cap ratio, will you have some sort of fixed metrics that the project has to abide by? For instance, if a project raises 100 ETH, let's say, or 100 BNB, will you guys force them to put a certain ratio into liquidity, let's say 51%, or will they be able to do less than that?
Well, if they choose, for example, if they were to choose not to like automatically fund the liquidity through our contract, and then they do it themselves, which is an option that will first show, right? It's on the platform. So I will just show you. So if you go back to our token, you can see that it says there, right? That it will be automatically funded, or should say locked liquidity. So if it says not locked, then it will show, I believe, a red here. And that means the liquidity is not automatically locked. So then they show the liquidity percent, which is a minimum 51%, as you say. But they have to have good reason as well. Like, investors should ask themselves, if it's only 51, what are they doing with that, like, money, right? So, like, for us, we are investing in the platform to develop traffic. And then what we do is we allow you, if you stake your token, to take a percentage of the revenue from TrustLaunch. So imagine you invested in the Pink Cell token, and then you were able to get a percentage of the revenue. I mean, they make millions of dollars, as you know. So this is very smart. So this is the difference between TrustLaunch token, is that they get a percentage if they're the first 500 investors. So that's only for the first 500. So it's like a limited amount. And then the only way you become part of the people who can stake and take a percentage of the revenue is if somebody was to sell their like tokens. It opens a spot, and then whoever's first to get it will get it.
Got it. And talk to me about the process of actually building this platform. How long did it take? Was it super intensive with funds? Like, what was the actual process of building the Launchpad from a technology standpoint?
Well, like I said, I mean, I'm not the programmer. I'm the mastermind behind this team. So I put together a team of partners, smart people like for me, a business should always have a mastermind behind it, like a group of people. We're about 28 people in the group. And so we mastermind this thing, right? Like, what is TrustLaunch and how can we be the next big launch pad? So as far as the ideas, once we have them all, then the development side of it, the technology side, that requires a very talented programmer. Now, as a developer, I've launched 4 different tokens. Some of my tokens, I've done $150 million market cap. So I know a little bit about launching tokens. And so, but, you know, that's because I was good in marketing. So the developer was also good, but to launch something like PinkCell, you have to think that you're going to need like a genius programmer, you know? So I didn't have that in the beginning of my career as a developer. So what happened is that one of the genius programmers invested in my like token, and he kept messaging my staff, Austin, who's on the line here now, and saying, hey, this is wrong. You should do it this way. And I kept hearing this, you know, and finally I was like, man, let's give this guy a try. So he fixed one of our DApps, and it was like, wow, that was not only quick, it was perfect. It was running like smoothly. So I was like, wow, this guy is really good. So I have a good relationship with my old programmer. So I did not break that, but I said, let's do a project with him. So I launched a project with him. He did all the technical, and I was amazed. Like, this guy can do anything. How fast he can do it, how smooth, how everything works. I have to say that the quality of his work was exceptional. So I knew that he could do anything. So then we started joking about launching a launch pad. And well, he said, let's do it. And I said, well, if anybody can do it, it's you. So we said, let's do it. It's because he needed me and I needed him. So I would not launch a launch pad without a genius programmer like him, okay, who can do anything that you think of. So he needed somebody like me who can do more of the ideals, the mastermind, building the team, marketing, you know, the leadership part of it. So that's why it was a good relationship between us, and that's how that started.
Awesome. That's cool, because I know it's definitely an intensive process to build something of this scale and ensure that it's secure and ensure the
Yes.
lockers are working, ensure that when the funds are sent and distributed properly, it is intensive, and it's not that easy to build. I'm definitely aware of that, so that's super cool. Talk to me about the marketing plans. Let's kind of segue over to more about the token itself and less about the launch pad. But what's kind of the marketing plans, and tell me what's gonna be. I know you mentioned you have some strategies to drive traffic to the platform, whether it's running ads or whatever it is that you can't disclose. But what's going to be kind of the main differentiator from you and PinkCell that'll drive mass engagement and mass kind of recognition to Launchpad?
The difference is source of traffic and qualified like traffic. Now, I'm aware PinkCell is doing well and they're a mover and like shaker. So we're not going to be buying ads. That's not how we're going to get traffic. Like when Facebook launched, they didn't buy ads. They sold ads, isn't it? So in order to get that, they had to build a technology that would generate traffic. So there's two ways to get traffic, right? You could buy it, which very expensive, especially in the crypto. Buying ads is incredibly hard. And if that was and I believe that's why most launch pads who've tried to compete with PinkCell have failed, because they try to buy the traffic, and that's not a good idea. Okay, because if you want to compete with PinkCell, you have to generate millions of unique visitors to the website. So that's not going to work. Okay, so we're not even focused on that. That's not how we're going to beat PinkCell. No. Like I said, my secret weapon is the genius programmer and my ideals. I'm a good problem solver. That's why I launched tokens, because we solve problems, and they did $150 million market cap. So now By the way, that's 120x, I think, in like a few weeks. But the point is, we're building a technology that will generate massive amount of traffic. I mean, millions. Now, it's true, it may not be an overnight success. It might not. I don't know how fast, but I know what we're building. It's a machine that will accumulate more and more and more traffic. It's a technology-based traffic, not buying ads. Okay, right now we're buying ads, very small amount actually, because we just need some partners to get started. But later on, it's not our main strategy to buy ads. We're going to sell ads. We're going to sell banner ads. We're going to sell all kinds of stuff. I can't reveal right now. We're more than a launch pad. A launch pad is just how we started. The second phase is like the missing link to what developers would need to be successful. And so that of course I can't reveal, but I can tell you that we're not buying ads. We're developing a technology, let's say like Facebook, that brings people to the platform, and millions of people. So then if you're trending on the top 12 on our platform, you will sell a lot of your tokens that you're trying to sell because of the massive traffic built on TrustLaunch. Right now, we're not trying to sell developers. We're presenting TrustLaunch token as an investment opportunity to the first 500 people who want to take a share of the profit. Okay, so by investing in a token, and that's what the purpose of why we're doing this AMA today. We're not looking for, doesn't matter to us if somebody launches their token on our platform, that's fine. Everything works perfect, by the way. They can do that right now, and they'll probably be able to trend top 12. Whereas in PinkCell, good luck with that. But the top 12 spot is the most valuable asset of PinkCell. Would you agree on that? Like if you're top 12, you're getting traffic. If you're not top 12, you're not getting much value from PinkCell. I mean, you do get some exposure through the Telegram group, maybe because they list like projects, but that's not very powerful. What people looking at is the top 12. So this is where TrustLaunch will be able to add more value, right? Because in the beginning, it will be more easier for, let's say, developers to be the top 12 and get traffic. So, yeah, not sure that answers your question.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Michael. And oh man, I just blanked out. I had such a in terms of the tokens that are going to be launching, is it going to be predominantly ETH or predominantly BSC, or is it going to be both? Like, which kind of chains are you going to be targeting?
Yeah, we're just going to do BSC to start with. That's mainly, I believe, 80%, 90% of what's being launched. Then later we'll add the ETH chain. I do believe that when the sharding is added to the ETH chain, which is supposed to be this year, ETH chain will do very well. There's no doubt about that. So we're definitely going to add the Ethereum chain for launches, right? So, yeah.
Totally. And in terms of the roadmap, where are you guys at now? What does the next couple days look like? What's the next couple weeks look like? And in the perfect case scenario, where do you see the project in a year's time?
I mean, in a perfect case scenario, we overtake PinkCell because of the traffic that we've built. So, which is more harder to build than a launch pad. Okay, launch pad, in my opinion, was easy to build, but building a technology that brings in millions of unique visitors, that's a little bit harder. So that's our next phase, right? So there's this middle gap right now between, okay, we built the launch pad, the old saying, build it and they would come. That's not true. you build it, then you got to generate the traffic, right? So you need both. And especially in this game, developers want investors, and investors come from bringing them to look have the exposure to potential investors, especially in small cap coins, because we're not finding investors that buy Bitcoin or buy Ethereum. We're finding investors that want to get in very early on lucrative projects that have the potential to 2x, 3x, 10x, 100x, 1000x. I mean, these opportunities are there. 1000x is extremely rare. It's like finding, it's like winning the lottery, right? It's very rare. It's very hard to find them. So, but there are ways. There are ways to find these 100x coins. And I have some of my people that I work with who building system on how to find them as well. So we're going to include that later on into our platform, how to find those big gems, right? Like by indicators and things like that. Because when you launch coins right now, it's a bit of a lottery. Like people just buy whatever they feel. There's no real science of buying tokens that do well. But that will change, I believe, in the next bull market in 2024, 2025. More and more, the intelligence in buying tokens will grow, and the innovation will grow. So that's where we're going to come in, because we're not going to stop. Like, we're a technology company. We're not focused on marketing, selling, no. We're building a system that is going to grow exponentially. All the big businesses that do well focus on the system that brings in customers, and then instead of buying ads, they sell ads. I mean, that's basically the theme of TrustLaunch, is that we're going to have so much traffic, we can sell the banner ads, we can sell other like services, because we have massive amount of traffic going through our platform because of the technology. So that's exciting. I mean, people may not be able to picture that, but it's next level stuff about doing that. And when they see it, they will believe it, I think. So now people who invest in TrustLaunch token, they have to take a leap of faith, because they can't see it, but it's there. It's just privately, secretive, but it's there. So it will take a leap of faith for investors to come in and say, well, what if those guys beat Pink Cell? What if this is my next 100x like token? And what if I can get a percentage of their revenue and they're bigger than Pink Cell? Well, shit, that's a no-brainer at that point, right? So does it take a leap of faith? Of course, but people are degens. They're already doing that. But people are buying things like pay tokens. I have nothing against that. Those are good pump and dumps, but they're going to dump. Whereas TrustLaunch token is here to stay, and it can generate, it can make millionaires if our plan works. Okay.
I think my most important question of this entire AMA will be this one, Michael. It's gonna be about the revenue models. So these projects that are launching on your platform, are you going to have a similar revenue model to Pink Cell, where you take like 5% of the raise, or they give you, payments in tokens? Like, how are you guys going to benefit from these projects that are launching on your platform, and how will that in turn help your tokens succeed long term, whether it's through buybacks or some sort of revenue share model to help pump the price of the native token?
Yeah, good question. I mean, if we have excess cash, we would do buybacks for sure, which I expect that we will have. But we build of course, the fees, 5% of the BNB is the same as Pink Cell. That's a no-brainer. That works for us. 1 BNB for the launch. Right now, we're only 0.1 in the initial testing period, but we've already done the test net. Now we're on the main net. But if people want to try us for the first time, they can pay 0.1 BNB for the launch. But that's temporary. As soon as traffic starts, it's going to be 1 BNB. So yeah, I mean, then you got the KYC revenue. There's in a thing like Pink Cell, you may not see it, but there's so much revenue. It's incredible. more than people think. Okay, revenue comes from at least 50 different sources. Okay, and a lot of it is behind the scenes. Some of them are partnerships. You know, auditors pay commission. People pay like commission. In our platform for the KYC, our profit range is very high, like 97% profit, right? So, and then we have other services we're going to launch too. So the revenue is not a problem. As I said, there's 50 different sources of like revenue that I could talk about. Some of them we've not implemented yet, but the revenues are huge. Once, like, do people realize how much money PinkCell makes? We wouldn't do this if PinkCell didn't make a lot of like money. You know what I mean? Why would we? But doing my due diligence, looking at PinkCell, it's kind of like people were selling gold. No, the people trying to find gold versus providing the shovels. Who made the most like money? You'd think the people who find the gold, but it's not. It's people who provided the shovels. And that's what TrustLaunch is. We provide the shovels for people digging for gold. And that's where the money is. And so it takes a little bit. I think what we're looking for is intelligent people who can see that and want a piece of that. So yeah. So basically, yes to yes and yes to all of your like questions, right? Lots of like revenue, right? They get 5% of the gross revenue is redistributed to the people who are staking. Okay. And so the revenue sharing is quite good because nobody really does that. Like if you buy any token, whether it's Cake token, Uniswap, you don't get a percentage of their revenue, gross like revenue. And they make a lot of like money, but you will get it with us. Okay. And it's built in. It's the revenue sharing is automatic. Like it's built into a contract and people get paid in BNB. And there's no time to like commit. You can stake your like tokens with us. And if you don't make enough like money, just unstake it. There's no time commitments for like staking. It's limited by the number of like people. So the only reason people would stake their coin and keep staking it is because they don't want to lose one of the 500 places. Yes? Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes perfect sense, man. Thank you for that detailed kind of coverage. I do want to take a few community questions before we wrap things up.
Sure.
So let's do like 2 or 3 questions today, just because we are a little bit tight for time. We'll start with CC Jitters, always top tier questions. So CC, thanks for being here. Go ahead, you can ask away.
Thank you very much, Landon. Can you hear me?
Yep,
I
just
can hear you.
Loud and clear, brother, but go ahead.
Okay, cool. So one question I wanted to throw in was, relating to, other other projects that's going to be launching on your pad. And then I was looking at how, sometimes some of these developers or some of these project owners, sometimes they don't really have organizations on their roadmap and stuff like that. And perhaps they could have some few updates they want to make, and then they could alter the smart contract, or sometimes, they could just change some few things on the smart contract, and then when they've already started listing, on your launch pad, and then perhaps the one of the top 3, cool projects you have in your launch pad, and then they make these changes. How do you plan to I would say effect this change on your community? Perhaps, when they perhaps make mistakes on your smart contract and they try to make corrections, perhaps it could affect, your launch pad, because when they see that they're top 3 and then they're not really meeting up, these projects are not really meeting up to the expectations. A lot of people could have this, speculations concerning you launching, a scam project or something like that. So how do you plan to make sure that projects that are launching on your launchpad have all these things put in place, smart contract, updates, and the rest of them? before listing on your launchpad, so they won't be able to change and affect the authenticity of your launchpad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you shouldn't buy. I think that system is already there, like the audit, like for the smart contract. Like if they can change the taxes, let's say, right, and charge huge amount of like taxes, like the contract, they did not limit the tax. That will be on the audit. So if they don't get good stars from the people who evaluate the project within our team, or so our team has more weight on the stars than the community. So if you hold 30 tokens of TrustLaunch, you can vote. And if you looked at the contract and you see this guy doesn't have a good audit, then you should give him bad stars. Does that make sense? Like that's the responsibility of the community that I build, which is already in place. So, right, like you wouldn't get away with it on our TrustLaunch platform because of the stars. People would give you 1 star if you can change the taxes to, let's say, 100% tax. It's not possible to do that, but they can charge very high taxes. So up to 50%, I think. So obviously the community would give them less stars. So that's one way that this community-based platform protects investors. So yeah. Now that's why, like, anybody can vote, but they only get 1 vote by connecting their like wallet. So if you hold the tokens for every 10 TrustLaunch token, I believe, each TrustLaunch token gives you 1 vote. Don't quote me on that. I have to look at it again. But it's a maximum of 30 vote per person. Like if you hold huge amount of TrustLaunch like token, you can get a maximum of 30 counts or 30 votes. So the people who hold the TrustLaunch token are responsible for evaluating the projects and give good ratings if they deserve it. Does that make sense? Like, people are not stupid anymore. Like you can't get away with the old stuff. Actually, that's not true. They do get away with it, but they won't get away with it on TrustLaunch because of the stars. Okay?
Got it, man. Thank you for that. Thanks for the question, CC, and thank you for that detailed answer, Michael. I'll just kind of wrap things up with my thoughts. I do think I will start by saying I think the community desperately needs something like this. Obviously, we've seen what's been happening with Pink Sale for the last couple of months, and a lot of people have left the space just because they've gotten wrecked so bad over and over, unfortunately, on some of these pre-sales. And it's refreshing to see a docs dev come on here, show his face, really try to push something with the investors' peace of mind and best interest at heart. So thank you, Michael, for what you're doing and your mission towards trying to clean up the space and make, for lack of better sentence, make pre-sales fun again for a lot of people that are trying to be here, and whether it's their experienced investors or just for people that are just learning and just joining to to get a better grasp of what crypto is all about and how they can make money in the space. Pre-sales are a really easy and interesting way to kind of transition in, rather than some of these fair launches or stealth launches, just to put some money in a pre-sale with a trusted team, with a safe dev, with everything that looks good, with an audited contract, with a real business model behind the project. And then that's a really good way to kind of transition in and learn more about investing in crypto in general. So I do like what you guys are up to. I like the opportunity to see the history of the devs. I think that could be something that really distinguishes you guys from some of the other launch pads, because like people will just launch and you have no idea who's behind it. You have no idea if they've had malicious rugs in the past. There's really no, it's kind of like a free-for-all, and it's player versus player. It shouldn't be that way. It should definitely be more safer and targeted towards the investors. So I love that you guys are doing that. And I'm just excited to see the platform, fully functional and released to the public, and the kind of projects that you guys are incubating. I think that'll be interesting, whether it's through the use of influencers, if you have a couple tier 1 influencers that help push projects, or what it'll be. But I'm definitely excited to see. And I urge the community, for everyone that's here, thank you guys obviously for being here. Please join the socials. And if you do have questions or you want to learn more about the project and the Launchpad, you can ask in their group. You can ask Michael directly, or ask their team. But otherwise, I think you did a great job, Michael, and it was a real pleasure learning more about the project, and I'm excited to see what's to come.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thanks for the community for being here on a Saturday. For me, like I said, it's early morning, but wishing everyone a great rest of their day. As always, you guys are the best, and I'm very grateful to be doing this. So thanks for being here for the community. And Michael, thank you for being here as well. And best of luck with the project. We'll chat soon.
Bye for now.